Okay, so let's begin with our sketch. I will be using my 2B pencil. And the first thing we need to do is mark down where everything is going to be. So first, I will put down a line for the horizon. Okay. Just a straight line. Okay, and then we will just mark down where our branches are going to be. So I think I'll put a tree here. So this will be the bottom of the trunk. Actually, I'll move it down a little bit more. So for this one, it doesn't really matter where you put anything. It's all quite random. So we'll put our tree here, and then we'll put our other tree right here. It's better to use charcoal for this one, just because you have a lot of space to cover. So these are the locations of my trees. With that, I can begin to sketch my tree itself. And it's not a straight line. So the paper, use this one. The tree shape, if we take a look at this, is going to be kind of jagged. So you have variations in the trunk. It might be, something like that. And then something like that. So it's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be very crooked. So start sketching out the branch or the trunk, sorry. And you can also make this up as you go. So as long as this thing is mostly vertical, that's fine. So I'm creating a fork in mine. Up here, you don't have to, you can just keep going. I feel this looks a little bit funny. Make it thicker. If that does anything for me. So basically, you just keep playing with the tree branch until you get a shape that you feel happy with. General rule of thumb is that the tree is thicker on the bottom. Something like that, maybe. And then I just want to add a branch, maybe here. I'll add a branch. And we can figure that one out later when we add the leaves. Okay, so then let's work on our tree behind. You can see when I draw trees, I always make the lines pretty shaky and uneven. The real tree will have that texture. Just get your main branches in here, and then we will start to work on this leaf top, this canopy area. So we'll just give everybody some time to play with the way that their trees look. And you can also start to mark down some of these branches here. So let's say maybe we want a branch coming down. It's all very random. Maybe we want this branch somewhere over there. We'll give everybody just a couple of minutes or a little bit of time at least to play with the tree branches. Okay, so we can continue here. Let's get our charcoal out. So I will begin using my soft charcoal pencil. And what I'm going to do is lightly fill in the trunk. So the trunk area is lighter in comparison to the stuff up here. So I'm actually just going to fill it in. I'm going to start filling it in. Notice that there's a gradient as well. Right here where the sun shines through, this whole area is light. Fill my tree in. This one's a little bit like just coloring. I'm just gonna add another branch here. So I'm applying still, the pressure is quite light. I'm not applying super heavy pressure onto this trunk here. Let's start to fill in the branches. And remember, we still have to go in with our blending tissue. So don't worry if it's not how you want it to be. Okay, so you're gonna go in and fill all your trees, so both trees. The one behind actually is even lighter. So I am going to apply even less pressure. And I'll just leave this area blank. So I'm not touching this part right here. Okay. So I get something like that. Maybe I want to add a branch here. And right off the bat, I see that this area is a little bit too dark. So I'm just gonna go ahead with my kneaded eraser and just, you can tap at it, you can roll. Okay. you haven't used your kneadable eraser in a while, you might have to pull at it to get it to soften a little bit more. Or if it's been sitting outside for a while. So you're just gonna soften it by pulling at it like this. So basically the way we use this eraser is you just tap at the areas that are too dark and it'll remove some of that pigment. We usually don't rub the eraser, we usually just tap it, but in this case, if it's not coming off, you can rub at it. So if you feel anywhere is too dark or too light, you can use the kneadable eraser. And it'll pick up the pigment. So with this one, there's not really a way to clean it. So in my experience, it takes a very long time before it starts getting unusably dark. Okay. So while we're at it, we can start adding in some shadows in the bottom here. So for example, there's a shadow here and here behind the trees. So we can start to sketch those shadows in. If you have a compressed charcoal stick, it will be a lot faster for you to use that. So I'll just demonstrate with the compressed charcoal. So if you have this guy, you can actually just very lightly go in and start to sketch out this shadow. And if you don't have this, just use a regular pencil. It's just gonna be a little bit slower. So you can start to sketch out the shadow. It's a little bit patchy, but that's okay. Okay. This one extends all the way over here. And then start sketching out the shadow for this one as well. Notice that I'm not going in any particular straight line. kind of just, oh, I see a patch of darkness here. So I'm going to mark it down. With our compressed charcoal, we usually like to use the side. For example, you can cover huge areas very quickly with compressed charcoal in comparison to our charcoal pencil. Okay, so those shadows are in there, and I just want to create some more over here where I see there are more shadows on this side. I'm just going to go in and start making those. So you can play with the compressed charcoal if you have it, and see how you can get it to create the shape that you want. For example, I saw a square looking shape over here. So I'm just going to take my charcoal and sweep it across until we get that square. Okay. You can change the direction, just play with it. And if you don't have the compressed charcoal, just use your pencil. Oh, sorry. Use your charcoal pencil. It's the same, just doesn't cover as much area. So there's a couple of spots here. And then I'll start just creating these other horizontal shadows over here. There is a bit of a faint outline of a tree right here. So if you want, you can add that in. But you do not have to. So if you want, feel free to do that. And we'll just give everybody some time to get these markings onto the page. I left fingerprints everywhere. Our next step after this is to blend all of this, and then we will add the stuff in the foreground in the canopy. So we'll deal with that stuff later. Actually, I'd like to add a couple more trees. I think that might look nice. So feel free to follow if you want. This definitely doesn't exist in the picture, but I'll pretend like it does. Just a couple more trees. Maybe I'll add one right here. I just want to give it the illusion of a forest, even though it might not be. Okay, so I think we can begin with our blending here. So I'm just gonna fold up a Kleenex. You can use paper towel or even toilet paper. But basically you're going to fold it into a square, very small square. And you're going to fold that diagonally in half so that we get a little stump. Okay, and then we're going to use this to blend out all of these shadows. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna blend. So this is now your drawing tool. You can even use it to add more branches. And if your stump is a little bit too flimsy, you'll need to just make it a little bit thicker so that you can use it. Sorry. Just gonna skim right over that because there's a sun spot right there. Okay, so I'm going to try paper towel. Instead, just because it's a little bit more firm. So you just fold that the same way you fold the tissue. And you're just gonna go ahead and start to blend all of this out. Actually, I think it looks quite nice if you leave some of the texture here. The texture is kind of nice. So I'm going to leave some. I'm not going to blend out all of it. this one, I'm just gonna go up. And I don't have to worry about it. If you do this, you can create the illusion of the trees, but in a very far distance. And you'll just want to sweep over some of this so that it's not so blinding and white. Right, so you just want to sweep. Okay, there's some sweep that area. And same with this area below. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna go in and refine some of these areas. So you can go ahead and find some areas in the trunk. Add some texture. So I'm just adding a couple of roots for a little bit more texture. And some more pigment on the side of the bark. Okay, so my tree here is mostly done. Or my trunk here. So now all I need to do is all this stuff. Uh-oh. It's my phone telling me it's time to plug it in. Give me 1 second. There we go. We're back. All right, so let's start with all this stuff in the canopy, the leaves and things. I will use my charcoal stick just to make my life a little bit easier. And I'm just, first of all, I will darken some areas that I feel are not dark enough, like right here, it's tree shadow. So that gives it so much depth that we're able to make this part darker. Okay. Something like that. And we need to add some action up here in the canopy. So what we can do is begin to sketch out all these branches, and don't be afraid to make them super dark, just because everything in the tree line here is the darkest. You're just going to sketch. This might be easier with your charcoal pencil. The compressed charcoal is a little bit difficult to control. Let me stretch that. You're just going to create all these branches up here. If you want, you know, you can have fun with it. You can even close your eyes. Try to create these branches, these random branches. You can have as many or as little as you want. And I think I'm missing something, I feel. Oh, there's a branch here that extends. Yeah, there's one right here that extends into here. And this one should go all the way up on this tree. Okay. So that one. Just have lots of fun with it. I think there's one. There's something that comes down all the way here. And it goes into the grass on the picture. And then comes the most time-consuming parts where we actually have to draw the leaves. So how do we do that? We're going to go in and you're just going to create kind of circular shapes like that. Some parts are straight up just black. So it might be easier for us to start with the light stuff down here first. So we're just going to slowly add this in very lightly. Just little dots, little circular motions I'm using to create those leaves. There is a branch here. That one looks a little bit goofy. Okay, so you're just going to go in. Just make little markings. Do all the little light ones in the back first. And you can use your tissue to kind of blot these areas out. You can even use your tissue to actually create these areas. It's actually a little bit better because you get this softer look. It's definitely not as harsh. I'm just gonna go to there. Unfortunately, I think we'll have to hand draw most of them here. But this is a method of getting some of those leaves in. So you can kind of see it starts to look like leaves. I just want to darken that area a little bit. And after you've etched in those lighter leaf markings, you can go in with your super dark and actually start to block out some areas. So this area right here is very dark. So I'm just going to almost fully block it out. But I don't just want to color it in, right? So I'm still paying attention to how I'm putting down the pigment. And this part up here is all very, very dark. I'm still going in circles. And there is a really big branch or something here. And I'm just going in circles. To create this type of shape. Then I will go over here. So just take your time. Just take your time and slowly can fill in this top part. And as we get towards this part, my brush, it's not really a brush, but my hand becomes much lighter. Oops, I made that one too dark. So I just want to move on to the side here because I'm going to start working on this part of the canopy. So we're just going to go ahead and start filling this part in. And then I will just start to add these leaves. And then I'm just gonna add some more leaves down here. You may notice that this area is quite empty right now, but I'm going to go in with my charcoal pencil after and create those leaves in the back. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with my charcoal pencil. My hands are all black now. And we're just gonna go and start sketching out some of these branches down here. This one's a little bit darker. Feel free to add branches, thin branches, anywhere you feel is too empty. So you can see, this is one of those projects where you can really spend all day just working on it. Okay. Okay. Um, there's still more to add. This one's about having variation in between your branches. So, for example, or in between your leaves. So, what I mean by that is you have some really dark ones, and then you have some light ones, you have some big, you have some small, and that's what really makes the picture unique. And if you'd like, you can bring out your blending stump just to add a little bit more areas that are darker. I'm going up and down like this so I can try to maybe create the appearance of some patches of grass. Just trying to see if I can make some texture. Okay. And basically, you're just going to create this forest ground. Okay, one last thing I'm going to do is go in with my eraser and create these light spots. So the sunspot begins right here. You can put it anywhere. I'll put mine right here and I see if I can get this to be quite bright. I'm going to try to bring out the sunspot, and I'm going to use my eraser to start making rays, sun rays. So I'm going to start from that sunspot and go outwards. Okay, so I'm going to start from that sunspot and I'm going to go down all the way. I'm going to start here and go down. And what this will do is create the illusion of the sun rays, right? So here I go down. And there's certain areas where you might want to make them a little bit brighter. Here, around here, I'm going to go up. And then here, this way. Just going to add this trunk back. So the sun has a little bit of trouble shining on the trunk there. Okay, and I'm going to create some rays over here. I'm just going to go up a couple times. Try to remove some of that super dark charcoal. They're going to go this way. A couple times. Brighten this area. And go downwards. So this is just to sort of fake the illusion of sun. And then just clean up some of these areas here. Okay, so I think this one is finished. So we get something like this. Again, this is one of those that you can really just work on all day.